In this lecture, we will look at how we work with approximate match. Let's understand the problem statement. So we have a list of 10 customers and we need to find the incentive that each of these customer would be earning. Now, depending on the amount of sale, the incentive is a percentage on top of that sale amount. For example, Darren Powers has had a sale of 902. So the incentive he gets will be in the slab 500 to 9,000, which would be 40%. And the incentive would be, let me just calculate that here, it would be 902 into 1.4, which means that the final result will come as 1262.8, right? So let me just call this total with incentive. Now to do this, we cannot use an exact match. The reason is because if we search for the sales for Darren Powers, which is 902, where do we search for it? Like this cannot be, so column number I cannot be my lookup column because it doesn't really have numbers in it. It has ranges in it, 0 to 199, 200 to 499, and so on. So what we need to do here is to create another column called the minimum. Now think of it this way. If I ask you what is the minimum required for a person to get an incentive of 15%, it would obviously be a sale of 0. For 25%, it would be 200. And then for 40%, it would be 500. Now this can become our lookup column and this can become our column index number. So if you notice, we can say equal to VLOOKUP. We are searching for 902. Now please remember, when we're searching for 902, we cannot search in column I, we will have to search in column H. Our result is in column J, so we'll select that. The result is in column number 3, and then it is not an exact match, it is going to be an approximate match. Just as an example, if I show it to you as an exact match, you notice that we get an error. The reason is because we're trying to search for a number 902 in these numbers, and obviously 902 is not present here. But we do know that 902 might not be present, but it is greater than 500. But then how do we explain that to Excel? To do this, we will have to convert this into a true. And you immediately notice that it tells us what is the, let me just change it to a percentage. So it tells us, I'm sorry, let me do that once again. So we change it to a percentage and it tells us that this is the incentive percentage that each of these customers are earning, right? For simplicity, I'm going to break this down into 4 lines so we can see that it is just like a regular VLOOKUP function. The difference is that we're not searching with an exact match, we're searching with an approximate match. But this is not the result, right? We need to find the original sale amount plus the incentive. To do this, we can simply write the original amount, which is going to be 902. Now, how do you get that number? We will get that number by using so let me just check this once again. 1 minute. Okay. So we can say equal to VLOOKUP. The first VLOOKUP is search for Darren Powers. And then where will it search? In column B and column C. And why? Because I need to know what is the amount. So the answer is in column number 2 and it is an exact match. So think of it this way. This entire portion of my formula is going to tell me that the result is 902. In fact, let me remove everything else so that there is absolute simplicity about this. So as you can see, let me convert this into a number. You notice that my result comes as 902. Now this 902 is going to become a lookup value for my slab, which means that I can enclose this inside another VLOOKUP and say that my table array is H4 to J7. The number is 3 and the type of match is a approximate match, which is true. And if you notice very smartly, when I copy this formula down, look carefully. Darren is 40% because 902 is between 500 and 1000. Anthony is 40% because Anthony is again 799, which is between 500 and 1000. Mick is 25% because Mick is 414, which is between 200 and 499. So I hope it is clear. If you look at the process, the first VLOOKUP, which is this one, is telling us what is the sale amount for that particular customer name. And then that becomes a result for the next VLOOKUP, which is this one. And that tells me what should be the incentive that the person is earning. But remember, we need to multiply this with the original sale amount. So for this, we will have to take our original VLOOKUP and then multiply this with 1 plus the entire percentage. So let me copy that down, convert that into a number. And as you can see, we are getting a result 902.4. In fact, let me just check that once again. It should be 1 plus. Excellent. So let's just verify the number first. Darren Powers is 902. The incentive he earns is 40%, which would be 40% of 902, which is 360.8. And if I add up these two numbers, it gives us 1268.8. Similarly, if we look at Seth, or for that matter, let's look at David. David is 262. The slab incentive that he earns is 25%. So this would be 25%. And the result comes as 327. And that's the same answer that you can see here. Now, I know that the final formula looks a little long, everybody. And like I said earlier, to make it a little simpler, we can break it down into different lines. So let me just do that. As you can see, I'm breaking it down into multiple lines. Excellent. Now, just a quick recap of what we did. We first did a VLOOKUP. So this part told us that Darren Powers has a sale of 902. What are we doing with this 902? We are using this inside another VLOOKUP, which is this one. We were saying that if I search for 902 in this slab list, 902 comes as an approximate match between 500 and 1000. So the result is 40%. And then finally, I'm multiplying 902 into 1 plus 40%, which is 900 into 1.4. And the end result comes as 1262.8. So I know it's a little long because we're using 3 different VLOOKUPs here, but I hope you're able to see how smartly we have got the result. So without having to do a lot of manual work, which means that we don't have to write a number of formulas, we can simply get the result like this. And if you notice, if Darren tomorrow becomes 200, we could have seen that it would have been 250. Why? Because 200 gets a incentive was 25%, which is 50. So that's 250. If he had a sale of 190, then it would have been 218.5 because 190 plus 15% of 190 is simply 190 plus 28.5, which is 218.5. So please spend some time with it. Like I said, you don't have to do this in a hurry. Write your basic VLOOKUP, which is this one. Once you're satisfied with the result, then enclose that inside another VLOOKUP with an approximate match. And then finally, because we want the total plus incentive, you will have to take the original VLOOKUP and then multiply that with the incentive that has been earned. So I know the final result looks a little difficult, but when you do it step by step, I'm confident that you will be able to figure out the answer.